Hi everyone, this is Crystal, and today I'm working in my creativity journal. This is week 10. As you can see, I don't have very many photos from this week. It was not a very busy, crafty week. And for supplies, I have chosen the Color Fresh collection from Heidi Swapp. Honestly, I just couldn't be bothered to print out anything to use specifically in the memory planner format. So I just grabbed this from my stash. I actually have quite a bit here. I didn't realize how much of this collection I still had left. But that is what I'm going to try to use for this week's spread. I haven't done my journaling or anything yet, so I will need to add that as we go. Otherwise, I'm just going to play around and see how it works. So like I said before, I was pretty surprised by how much of this collection I still had. I know I made a few projects with it when I first got it, which was about the time that it first came out last year. And then I pretty much haven't touched it since then. It's just been sitting in my stash. So it feels really good to pull it back out and get it used, or at least some of it used up. And I do have to take some time to just kind of go through everything and reacquaint myself with what's in this collection and what I have in my stash. So I start with the die cuts, and you could probably see there at the beginning that I had been storing them in a little zipper container, like a little kind of like a Ziploc container, or bag, that is, because I had destroyed the original packaging. So I just kind of emptied them out into my little 3-compartment plastic container, and I'm just kind of going through them. And I was really actually surprised by how many things were really relevant to this project and to documenting this kind of album. So lots of things had to do with creativity, lots of encouraging things, lots of things just about having fun and playing, and that's really what this is all about for me. So there was lots I could use. You can see I've pulled out quite a bit there, and I haven't even touched the sticker pack yet, or the sticker sheets, the 6x12 cardstock stickers. So yeah, I'm not going to end up using all of this, but this at least gave me some place to start. So in a second here, I am going to pull all of that back off of my spread and start adding some paper. So I decided to use this really beautiful paper with the kind of watercolory background to add just a border to the bottom of my page. So I had already a torn edge on one side of this, so I just tore another one, and I'm trimming off a little piece so I can use that in that bottom row of boxes to give myself a kind of grounding piece to this page. And then I found this just small sheet of scrap, really, that has all these numbers on it, and I thought that would be perfect for the left-hand boxes on this page. So I am going to cut that down to 2 inches wide, and I left the branding strip at the bottom. That's that dark pink line there at the bottom of that sheet, and I'm just going to glue that down to the left-hand side of my page, and that's where I'm going to build up layers on this side of the page. And then I can go ahead and add those bottom 2 pieces as well to ground the page, like I said. And I really like the kind of artsy watercolory look that adds to this page. I don't do any mixed media in this journal usually, with the exception of some doodly bits, which tend to be on all of my pages. Otherwise, I don't really do much. So I really like that this collection had some of those built-in elements, and I was able to include them and give this look a more artsy look than a lot of my pages normally have. So I think that's something I'll keep in mind in the future when I'm looking for collections to use in this album, that I really like this kind of artistic look that it adds. Since this is a journal about my creativity, about my creative journey, it just works really well in this format. So I have started gluing things down on the actual days now. I added a sticker that had some quotations, and that's where I'll do my journaling. And you can see I've also included a lot of acetate pieces from the ephemera pack, and they all have a film on them, which is pretty hard to get off of some of them. So I did have to grab my pokey tool and use that to try and pull off some of those clear films off of the acetate pieces, but that worked pretty well. So it was a bit easier than using my almost non-existent fingernails at this point. So yeah, just continuing to glue things down at this time, and figuring out where I want some of those bigger pieces from both the ephemera pack and the sticker sheet, and getting those in place before I start filling in with all of the smaller bits and pieces. You may have noticed that I have started to figure out a little cluster at the top for my title. But I haven't decided for sure yet what I want up there. So I'm kind of leaving that till last and just filling in the other bits as I go. I do overlap some pieces just because they were a bit bigger than the boxes, and I didn't want to trim them down. I wanted the extra room for journaling, so I end up just overlapping a few things. And I kind of like the way that looks. It doesn't bother me to have things overlapped on my page. And yeah, just continuing to fill in all the spaces and add all the beautiful elements with all the pretty colors. So here is where I start working on my title. And you may remember I used these alphas actually last week, and I debated whether to use them again or not. I thought I could certainly find another alpha from my stash that would work with this collection, but these are the alphas from the Color Fresh collection, so I thought, why not? What's it going to hurt to use them twice in a row? I doubt I'll even notice in the future, so I'm going to go ahead and use them to spell out week, and then from the sticker sheet, I grabbed the 1 and the 0 to label it week 10. And to give that someplace to live, I am going to use one of those tabs from the ephemera pack and add that to the top of the page, and then overlap the word week over the top of that, just above the number 10. So I kind of had to finagle it to fit in that little spot I had for it and make it work, but I like the way that it looks in the end. Of course, those stickers are not going to stay without some additional adhesive, so you'll see me add some glue to them here in a bit, but right now I'm just using all these little smaller pieces to fill in all the blank spots that I still have on this page, trying to get as many of them on the page as I can, really, because there were so many that I liked and that would really work with this project. So yeah, just trying to get them all to fit, adding some arrows and some hearts in the empty spaces that I still have, and a few more acetate pieces as well. So to adhere all of those acetate pieces, of course, I am not going to be able to use my tape runner. So I'm going to actually grab my Xyron sticker maker. This is actually, I think, the Heidi Swapp version of the Xyron. Oh no, it's Teresa Collins. My bad. But it matches. It's black and white, just like the Heidi Swapp stuff is. And I'm going to start feeding all of those little acetate pieces through. So you will see me use my pokey tool and peel off the protective covering on each one of these little pieces, and then feed them through my Xyron sticker maker in one long string. So I find that it's less wasteful if I can add as many to the sticker maker as possible before actually cutting off the end and using them. So I'm going to add all of these little bits and pieces through the Xyron before I tear off the end and start using them. So I'm doing it with the acetate pieces and the vellum pieces because, of course, vellum shows the adhesive just as much as acetate does. And there is one there that does not fit. So there's that blue piece that says, oh yeah, in yellow. It's a little kind of 2x2, I think, square. It doesn't fit in my tiny Xyron. And you'll see me in here in a little bit. I try and add just some regular adhesive, but that totally didn't work either. So I'll have to come up with a different solution for that one. But I'm not going to make you watch all of this. I did want to show you, however, that I tried putting through the alphas since I knew I was going to need some additional adhesive. I tried putting them through the Xyron, and it worked pretty well. So there it is. There, it's all done already. I've done enough talking that I've actually finished. So maybe I am going to make you watch it all. Anyway, I tried putting those alphas, those chipboard alphas directly through the Xyron, and it worked pretty well. The adhesive kind of got all over the place, and I had to use my pokey tool to kind of get it back just underneath the letters, but it worked. So I didn't even have to get out some liquid adhesive to adhere those down. I just used my Xyron, and yeah, worked pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to start peeling all those little bits off of the sticker sheet here in a second and glue them all down and get everything in place. Just going through and gluing down all the remaining cardstock pieces that I still hadn't added. And I'm also adding a little strip to the top of the right-hand page. I had a acetate piece that I wanted to include up there, but I wanted to give it somewhere to live, somewhere a little home for it, I guess. And so I just added another piece of that torn watercolor paper, and then I'm going to add that acetate piece over the top. And you may see me, when I glue them down to the page, I do give them a good rub, and that just kind of helps get that adhesive all down in place. And you also, with this one, I put it in backwards, so it's actually backwards. Instead of saying XOXO, it says OXOX, because I put it in the sticker maker upside down, and thankfully it's still legible. And I mean, if it had been another word, it certainly wouldn't have been, but for this it works. I just use it as it is, because what else are you going to do? Okay, so still just adhering down all the little bits and pieces, filling in the blank spots with some hearts. And here I think is where I try and adhere this down with regular adhesive, and it just looks awful. I mean, it's super obvious, and I peel it right back up. And of course, that totally ruins that acetate piece, so I have to fill in that spot with something else. So I'm going to go through the sticker sheets and just find a few little pieces I can add there to cover up that little torn spot. I think I've mentioned it several times before, but this paper that I use feels absolutely wonderful, and I love using it. It's a bit thicker than regular printer paper, and it feels very luxurious, but it likes to grab a hold of adhesive. There's pretty much no peeling anything back up off of it once you've stuck it down. So yeah, that's the one bad thing about this paper. So when I peeled up the acetate piece, it did tear up the paper a little bit, and I had to find some other things to add over the top of that spot to kind of cover up the torn piece. In fact, I think, I'm not sure if it was this week or the week before, but I had, it was this week, I had a Post-it note stuck on this page, and even that tore up the paper. So yeah, something to be mindful of. Okay, so I've already finished the spread. Off camera, I did add my journaling and a few little doodly bits, of course, some flowers and dots just to fill in some of the spots. I hope that you found some inspiration in this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you all back here very soon. Thanks so much for tuning in.